All right, let's finish section 13.2 by calculating another F ratio. Okay, and in this one, I'm going to do it using technology. Okay, so we're not going to calculate the SS between, the MS between, and all that stuff by hand, but I want us to be able to fill out one of these ANOVA tables. So we're going to have to be able to use the technology properly and then be able to interpret the results that are being displayed to us. Okay, so you could work it all out by hand if you wanted to, but I'm going to say that as long as you know how to fill out one of these tables using whatever form of technology that you're using, then you're good to go. You don't need to work out all of this process that we did earlier, all of this stuff. You don't need to do that by hand if you don't want to. Okay, so let's go ahead and just dive right into this example. As part of an experiment to see the way different types of soil cover would affect slicing tomato production, Marist College students grew tomato plants under different soil cover conditions. Groups of 3 plants each had one of the following treatments: bare soil, commercial ground cover, black plastic, straw, and compost. Okay, all plants grew under the same conditions and were the same variety. Students recorded the weight in grams of tomatoes produced by each of the n equals 15 plants. Okay, total of 15 because it's 5 categories times 3 samples each. Okay, calculate the F ratio by creating a one-way ANOVA table. All right, so when we're doing our actual hypothesis testing, all we're really interested is at the end is that F statistic, that F ratio, and the p-value. But we're going to go ahead and fill out this entire table because it's important to display this information sometimes. Okay, so let's use the calculator first, and for the sake of speed, I already have in my edit lists, I have 5, I already entered all of the information. So make sure that you've got all 5 of these samples entered into the calculator. So I have 5 separate lists where I already entered them all. Okay, so there they all are. You would have to go ahead and do that on your own. But now I'm going to go to Stat, and I want to go to Tests. And if I click, and if I choose up, it takes me to the bottom option, which is the ANOVA. So I click enter on there and then make sure we have 5 separate categories here. So I go second, L1, comma, L2, comma, L3, comma, L4, comma, L5. Close parentheses, and it automatically does it all for us. Okay, so that's awesome, but we need to be able to interpret what all of these things mean. Okay, so there's the F. Let's go ahead and write that one down first and foremost. So the F is that 4.48098. So I'll use several decimal places. And so that's going to be way off here to the right-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and put that in as 4 point, and it was 48098. Okay, so there is that F ratio done. Okay, but let's make sure that we know how to find all of these other pieces of information based on this display. Okay, so remember that the factor, and that's why I have it listed here, the factor is the same as the between variation. Okay, so the first stuff is going to tell us the SS and the MS and the degrees of freedom all for the between. Okay, so we've got the degrees of freedom 4. Okay, and that should make sense because it's supposed to be K minus 1. Okay, 5 categories minus 1. Okay, and then there's the SS between and the MS between. Okay, and those are really, really large numbers, right? Because these pieces of data are given to us, they're in the thousands. So these numbers ended up being really, really big. Okay, so I'm going to enter the factor. Okay, that's going to be the SS between and the MS between. I'll go ahead and write those into our table here. So the SS between, which is coming from the factor, that's given to us as, I got to write kind of small to make sure I fit it in here, 3, 6, 6, 4, 8, 5, 6, 0.93. Okay, the degrees of freedom for the factor or the between, that was 4. And then the MS factor, the MS between, that was in our calculator as the 9162140.233. Okay, now in our calculator, we need to scroll down to the error part, which is all of the within stuff. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down to the error. Okay, and so this is the within stuff. So there's the within degrees of freedom, and then the within SS and the within MS. Okay, so let's write down both of those, or all three of those. So back to our table, the error, the SS within is 20446,726. The degrees of freedom is 10, which means that we can add those up as 14. Remember that n is 15 in this entire situation because it's 5 categories times 3 samples each. Okay, so that makes sense. And then the MS within, so the error in the MS, it was listed as 2044672.6. Okay, I believe I got all that right. Okay, looking good, looking good. Okay, so that's it. That's all of the information that we needed for this problem. We just needed to fill out this table and then with that F statistic. Okay, so that problem's done, but I'll go ahead and do it with the online calculator and also using Excel. Okay, so I'll scroll back up to our list of online calculators. And then, like I said, the LibreText, it only gives you the F ratio and p-value, so it's not going to be able to do the table for us. And then this one is really good, the social science statistics, but that requires each category to have at least 5 entries. So I'm going to click on good calculators again, because this one allows us to have whatever number of entries we want. Okay, now the default, it has 3 groups here, but we're going to need to add a couple of groups because we have a total of 5. Okay, so let's quickly enter those pieces of information. So we had 2625, comma 2997, comma 4915. Feel free to fast forward this part of the video as I'm just entering all of this. 5348, comma 5682, comma 5482. Okay, next one, 6583, comma 8560, comma 3830. And then, like I said, we need to add a group because we've got 5 groups, 7285, comma 6897, comma 9230. Need to add another group, group 5, 6277, comma 7818, comma 8677. Okay, good. And I'll click on calculate, and it instantly gets all of the information for us. There's that F statistic of the 4.48098, which I believe is the same answer we got. 4.48098. Okay, so that's like the whole point of this process, is to get that F statistic. Okay, but the data summary, we don't need to worry about that, but it does give us a really nice summary of all of the data with the mean and standard deviation of each sample. But this is what we're interested in, the ANOVA summary table. So there's the degrees of freedom, the 4, the 10, and the 14 for the total. Then there's the SS between and the SS within. And then there's the MS between and the MS within, okay, with the F stat and then, of course, the p-value. Okay, so there's all of the information, and it's organized in much the same way that I have this table set up here, where we've got the SS between, within, the MS between, and within. Okay, so there's all of the information. Make sure if this is the method that you're using, that you compare these answers to what we just wrote in the table right here, because I am going to want your ability to fill out this table. Okay, and again, I'm not going to ask that you do it by hand with all of that summation stuff that we did in the first example, but whichever form of technology you're using, make sure that you know which piece goes where. Okay, and last but not least, let's go ahead and use the Microsoft Excel. So for the sake of time, I already have all of those entered. Okay, so I just titled each one of them and I filled out all of the values there. And so I'm going to go to data analysis. ANOVA single factor, click OK. All right, for this, I want to go ahead and highlight all of that. So all 5 of those. Grouped by columns, keep it like that. Labels, I want to make sure that the labels are checked, okay, because in the first row, I do have the names, right, the labels of each of these data values or these samples. So make sure that's checked if you included the titles. Okay, alpha 0.05, that'll just be for the critical value of F that we're not talking about right now. Last time I had new worksheet checked, which opens up a separate sheet and posts it there. But hey, maybe I want to do an output range where I actually say, let's have it display everything starting right out here, maybe A10. So I'll go A10. And so I just wanted to actually display all of the information right underneath all of our sample here. So let's click OK there, and then it just displays it right underneath. And so maybe I like that better where I can see the original information and all of the summary right there. Okay, so anyways, the summary is what we're not interested in that part. We are interested in this ANOVA table down here. So there again is the SS between, the SS within, the degrees of freedom for each part, the MS between and within, and then the F ratio and P value and all that good stuff. Okay, so all of these values, as long as you enter it very carefully and you enter it correctly, all of these values are the same regardless of if we use the calculator or the online version or if we did it by hand. Okay, so there's all of the information, and that is definitely one of those 3 options, one of those 3 forms of technology is what I recommend for filling out this table. I'm not going to ask that you work it all out by hand. Okay, but we need to make sure that we can interpret what the technology is displaying for us, and we can organize all of that information in this table. All right, so that's it. In the next section, we are actually going to do some hypothesis testing using that actual F statistic and p-value and all that good stuff. Okay, so that finishes section 13.2. I'll see you in 13.3 for the actual hypothesis testing.